Okay, so we're up to the Mishnah on Daf Tesam and Aleph. Up to the Mishnah on Daf Tesam and Aleph. A very cryptic Mishnah. Very cryptic Mishnah. Without for the Ran, you'd have no idea what it's talking about. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the words in the Mishnah. We're going to do the Ran, and then we're going to stick it back into the Mishnah. Okay. So the very famous Gemara on the other side. So Kenidrei Rishayim. If a person says like the Nedarim of Rishayim, Neder b'Nozeh b'Korban u'b'Shvua. So it's a neder in three venues, guys. In the neder by actually four: neder, nazir, korban, and shvua. However, if you say kinidrei kasherim lo yom klum, you didn't say anything, nothing. Kinidvaisam like the nedava, then neder b'nozir u'b'korban, but not b'shvua. Notice neder, three things: neder b'nozir b'korban, but not b'shvua, not b'shvua. So again, we're familiar, guys, with the concept of neder and nedava. Neder where a person makes himself mechuyev, and a dava where he designates something. So if you take you take an animal, and you say on yourself, Hari Alai Lahevi, so it's upon you, the chiyuv is upon you. If you say this animal, Hari Zu, this animal is a carbon, the animal is a carbon. Nafkamina, if the carbon gets lost by Nadav, you don't have to make it up, because the chalois was on the animal, not on you. Hari Alai, regardless of the animal, you have to make it up. Okay, so what is going on in this Mishnah? Guys, the Ran is beautifully clear. Let's see the Ran inside. Masnisan Kididre B'Shayim Neder B'Nozeh B'Korban B'Shvua. Hach Masnisan Nami Perusha the other thing. No, this is a continuation of the last Mishnah. We're describing Yadais. It's a continuation of the last Mishnah describing Yadais. Umifarshinam b'Gemara dachi kamar. Dim Amar kinidrei Rishayim. If you start by saying like a neder of Rishayim, Hareini, but okay, you said kinidrei Rishayim Hareini, and v'hayin nazar oivel afanav, harihu nazar. Then it's a nazar. So there are actually three cases. Like I said, kinidrei Rishayim neder is not a case. Kinidrei Rishayim is v'nazir b'korban b'shvua. So it would be the case of nidrei Rishayim. Guys, you say nidrei Rishayim hareini, and a nazir is passing in front of you. Automatically, you are a nazir. Why? That's a yad l'naziris. That would be a yad. You'll be a nazir. Next, v'chein im amar kinidrei Rishayim alai chayav korban. U'mistaber nami. It's mistaber to say didafka kishahoysa behema munachas lefanav. There was a behema lying in front of him. V'chein nami, a third case, im amar kinidrei Rishayim himena, right? Kinidrei Rishayim himenu means what? From it. Shlei uchal, that he won't eat. V'yekikar munach lefanav, there's a loaf of bread in front of him. Harihu kishvua shlei yachlenu, it's a shur not to eat. U'mechayev b'chol hani ki amar kinidrei Rishayim. Shahari Rishayim darken lida b'chol elu. It would be normal for Rishayim to go ahead and do all of these three things. Good. Umfeishin roi lasais kain. Since you shouldn't do this, it's called the Nedarim Rishayim. Rishayim heim lo isay dava kain nira be'enai. So let's stick it back in the Mishnah, guys. Stop. Stick it back in the Mishnah. You have a guy has a nazir passing in front of him, and he says the following: Kinidrei Rishayim hareini. So that's neder nazir. He's a nazir. He has an animal in front of him, and he says Kinidrei Rishayim alai. That animal is a carbon, right? There's a kika in front of him. Kinidrei Rishayim himena. Then what? Then that's a shvua. And I just told you the Gemara. I just paraphrased what I just told you is the Gemara. However, kinidrei kasherim, then not. Because we're showing, because as we're going to see, kasherim don't make nedarim. It's not good to make nedarim. We had the Gemara that people die and they make nedarim to give tzedakah and their wives die. I mean, the terrible things happen in nedarim. It's not, it's kind of good to zach. There's a reason why we say kol nidrei. It's not hataras nedarim. It's not a good thing. Again, going back to the hakdama to the shir, Hashem, every great thing, there's the negative to it, right? Every great thing. The koyach of the dibur of the peh, to say something's a carbon. Unbelievable thing. You're taking a mundane animal, you're elevating it to a carbon. How? Through your mouth, right? Conversely, that mouth got power, and you got to be careful. If you don't keep what that mouth says, you got a lot of things going on. You got to be very, very careful. You're playing with fire. So Kinidrei Rishayim, it works. Kinidrei Kshayim, no, it doesn't work. Why? Because it's not a yad. Because Kshayim don't make the darn. Now, what about kinidvaisam? Then it would be neder b'nazir b'korban. It would work for two things. It would work what? For neder, it would work for nazir and work for korban. Let's see the Ran. Kinidvaisam neder b'nazir. Shari ksherim misnadvim heim. The korban and naziris. I don't know why he switches the order. The ksherim, the misnadev by a korban and naziris. Hilkach kiyama hareini v'yin nazar v'lefanav harihu nazar. The chiyamar alai ubehemu menechas lefanav Havilei kaimer harihu carbon nidava. Avol b'shvua. Notice by Rishayim you had the third thing. You had nazir. You had carbon. You had shvua. By nidvaisam you do not have what? You don't have a shvua. Lo mechayev. Afilu haya kikamunach lefanav amar himenu. Even if it would say himenu from it, right? Shloyachal lefi she'enak shem nishboyin la'olam. Neda they don't make. So maybe most, in other words, but a shvua they never make. A shvua they never make a shvua. The afal gav the amar le'el till the shvua say nafshi nishboyin l'dvar mitzvah fregna around. What are you talking about? They don't make a shvua. We saw before to be mizaris yourself to do a mitzvah. They do make shvuas, right? Hahi shvua le mikri nedava. That shvua is not called a nedava. In other words, to make a shvua to shafa din, that you don't do. To go ahead and make a shvua to mizaris you to an existing din, that they would do. That they would do. But no, we say not. We say not. We said we saw before Gemara. Mizaris to do. We said before Gemara. Now, just a little more, guys. Vikala meidak hari nedava eina ela b'oimer harezu. Guys, yeah, that's first base. One more time, guys. First base. Hare olai, it's upon me. You have a neder to bring a carbon. It's on you, right? Harezu, that's called an adava. Now the Ran's going to tell you the chilik between the two in a big lumdis. A big lumdis. Listen to this. Vikal medik harinadava eina ella b'oima harezu v'neder b'hare olai v'chilik zeh lesa ella b'nedarim de karbanis. The chilik between neder and adava is only by karbanis. Al b'neziris. My nedu, my nedav shayich bei, right? Hari enu ella be'inyan echad. So in other words, by naziris, where's the chilik by naziris, guys? V'manushach, you're a nazir. Now, but nir be'enai the neda pirushay dava she'ena bo legamri b'nidvas alev. A neder is something that is not calm at all with generosity. Unedava pirushay mash adam noide yoisa b'nidvas nafshay. Something that he does up and above board. And the actions of an adava are much more accepted by Hashem. The neda hu hare olai. In other words, guys, you want to bring a carbon, you left out a step. What's the step? So where is it? Guys, look at me. Guys, look at me. What do you say? Guys, what do you say? Hare olai, to bring a carbon, right? So what do? But you left out the next step. Oh. In other words, by Mizzur, you took the carbon, you designated it already. You know, it's Kaviyachal in Shul and Shabbos, if you're able to give money, right? So we call out by an appeal, you call it out, yeah? So you're going to give it afterwards, yeah? And the guy takes the card and makes funny marks on the card, right? You have the money in your pocket, like every day, you give tzedakah, right? That's a much stronger, and then it's much keeping your word. There it is. So and this is an important rhyme, guys. He's saying the chilik between a neder and a dava is that in a neder, you make a neder, but the nav is better, right? Mushimhachi amin the neder who hari alai the fisha ainam is nadev legamre because he didn't give it yet. Kimashlei afishu achshav. Since when he said he's going to bring a carbon, he didn't separate it yet. The nedava who ba'omer harezu the fisha is nadev nidra yoser ratzoi. Since he said harezu, it's a big nedava. The kivin shizehu pirusham shal neder v'nedava af ben nazir. So in other words, the Ram said you don't see this as a nafkamina between neder and nazir. He's giving you a nafkamina between neder and nazir. You know, you're going to say the bottom line, you're a nazir, right? How you got there, it should make a difference. But he's telling you, no, there is a difference. There is a difference. If it came there, als neder, als nedava. What's the difference? Af abishin neder shal naziris el binyan echad. Misha hakavana shaloi ritzuya yaisa. A guy wants to say, he wants to show you by what he says. Evil does grasa. He wants it more. Kari nezirusa nedava. Umishena ritzuya kol kach kari neda. Varishoyin kishenoidrim ben nazir ain't kavanasim ritzuya legamri. Aval haksherim mitoysha kavanasim shlema v'ritzuya. The aim is Jerusalem shum nidnud avera. In other words, totally shem shemayim. There's no shaila whatsoever that they become naziris. Kari Jerusalem nedava. Behind the Damrin Gemara, Gabi nedava and naziris mishkachasla kishim natzadik. Guys, look at the Mishnah. What the Mishnah says? It says kinid shoyim loyim aklum kinid vaisam neda benazir. Now, what's going on over here? And that, guys, you say the following. Look. You're a kasha. We're all kasha here. Baruch Hashem. Everyone's a kasha. Nazir walks in front of us and we say, Kinidre Kisherim, right? Aha. Good. None of us are on the Nedarim. Why do I have to Kinid Vaisam? Kinid Vais Kisherim? Then we would be. What's the chilek? In other words, Bishlema, an animal and a lie. You're saying one place. What are you saying? You're saying that it's upon me. By you saying Nadava, you're saying Harizu. By the bottom line is, by Naziris, you're going to end up in Nazir. So why by Neder doesn't it work, and why by Nadava it does work? Says the Ran, unbelievable. He says it's a different level. If you do, in other words, by if you're going to bring a carbon, you can bring it one of two ways. You can bring it through Neder and Nadava. When you do Nadava, it shows you big miratza that you want it much more. Why? Here it is. Not waiting anything. Not Harei a lie that maybe you should be able to Ta'acha, You're saying here it is. It's right here. Boom, boom, right away. So you come on a Ziris, Ayadei Nedava. What are you showing? I want this. Beautiful Ran. Right? What? We don't think about these things, Sasha Shalom. Who asked you to come? Anyway, so guys, good. Geschmack. Yeah, we're all good. Guys, we're all good, right? Yeah, Nidras Rishayim. What do you say? I didn't see it.
That doesn't work because they don't do Nedavis.
They don't do Nedavis, right? Okay. So this is a very good. I did the Ram, but you see, the Gemara will go Geshmir now, guys. The Gemara, you're going to see the Gemara is going to go Geshmir. Says the Gemara. V'dilma hachi kamar k'nidir Rishayim loy nidrana. In other words, why do you assume that it's a good carbon? Maybe he says, I don't want to be like a Russia. I'm a Shmuel, but I'm a k'nidir Rishayim hareini. I am, and then he says, so hareini is when the nuz is there. Alayi when the carbon is there. The imenu when it's a shvua. Good. Hareini is and afirais. Hareini Naziris, right? Hareini kama Naziris kama. Guys, if you have a Gemara, put it. This is the way to read it. Hareini the Naziris. Alai the carbon. Imenu the shvua. But that's the way you have to read the Gemara. I didn't read it that way the first time. that's the way you have to read it. Nedarim Mishana. It really doesn't read like usual Gemaras. Okay, now says the Gemara Vaita. Hareini bin Naziris. Read the Gemara Dilma Hareini betainis. We're dealing in the sugi of Yodais, right? We're dealing. How is a Meichiach that what is the Nazar? I have another option over here. Hareini betainis. Come on. I'm a Shmuel Kishayi Nazar Ivilafanav. No, it's not enough to say Hareini. You need a Nazar in front of you. Once the Nazar is in front of you, rest assured that it's a good Kabbalah. Himenu b'shvua. We said the lashon of himenu from it, and there's a kicker in front of it. And he means I'm nidrei rishayim from it, not to eat it. Dilma himenu de'achil nekama. Maybe he's making shvua to eat it. Amarava the Amar himenu shlayachel. He says shlayachel. He says no, Yachim Hailamem. So what's the chiddush? If he's saying I'm not going to eat it, so what's the chiddush? So it says the Gemara. I'll tell you what the chiddush is. Ma'udatema. Holoi mafik shvu mi pume. He mamish did not say a shvua from his mouth. He just said right. Kinidrei rishayim, and you say lashon shvua, and it's not a neder, it's a shvua. Kamash malon hadain. Kamash malon hadain. Now it's very funny. The Rensburg takes out the hadain. All of a sudden, it's hard to believe. When you had a Masechta where you said Tiboy, you meant Teku, and you said in Nashi means all of a sudden, the Rensburg says, he was a Talmud. Rensburg was a Talmud of the Nadi Yehuda. Yeah, it's a very interesting Masechta. It really is. I didn't say that. I think I didn't say that. I don't know the Masechta well enough to say that, but guys, but Geschmack. As we broke it up. The Ran after the Ran, the Gemara went Kashmirat. You have three things. You have a Nazir, the word Hareini, and there's Nazir in front of you. You say carbon a lie. You have a carbon in front of you. You say Himena, and you have a piece of kikar in front of you, and that's sure that you're not going to eat it. Okay, says the Gemara. Kinidrei kasherim layom aklum kinidvaisam, but a dava is a good nedava. Now, man tana the shani lay bein nedel and nedava. Who's the tana that says by kasherim the neder doesn't work, but the nedava does work? Lema, let us say loy Reb Meir v'loy Reb Yehuda. Let's say it's nish Reb Meir and it's nish Reb Yehuda. The Tanya. So the pasuk in Koheles toy vasher so loy sidar misatidar loy shalim. Better to make a neder and not what and not complete it, then to make it neder and not complete it. Now, now what's better than both? Don't make a neder at all. It's better not to go ahead to make a neder at all. Rabbi Yehuda is good if you do both. You have Rashi over here. Let's see the Ran over here. 3 lines down, it gets wide. The Shani lay being neder in the Dava. The Amma the Ksherim Misnadvim in Nedarim. The Mishnah said that what Misnadvim by Carbon and by Naziris, not by Shua, but what? But on the other hand, by what? By Nedarim, they don't. So we want Ksherim don't make Nedarim, but they do make Nedavah. So who is that Tana? So Toiv Mizem Mizeh Shein Noida Kolika. That's Rabbi. So meaning what? Toiv Mizem Mizeh Shein Noida Kolika mean Noider Mishalim than for making a neder and paying up. Uminoider Ein Mishalim. Better not to make it at all than to make a neder and pay up, or to make a neder and not pay up. The pasuk says before, Eisa Shetida Shalim. Ubasa Hachi Ksiv Toiv Shaloi Sida. Klaimar Shu Yosef Toiv Minoider Mishalim. Better than Noider Mishalim is like Sida at all. The Ksiv Le'elminei. The Koyav time of the Milsa, Mishatida of Loit Shalim, Klaimar, Shematishach Loit Shalim, Lefikach Toivash Loisida Klau. In other words, the pasuk says before, make a neder and pay up. You know what's better than making a neder paying up? It's not making a neder at all. Why? Because to make a neder, you may not pay it up.
Then you're not going to do.
What?
It means you're not going to make it.
It's time the darn. We're saying it's time the darn. Stam the darn. Mashmalon hashta, Leishani bein neder and Nedava. So why isn't that like Reb Meir? Reb Meir was only discussing the dar. Guys, we have a chilik between neder and nedava. Neder doesn't work by tzaddikim, but nedava does. What Haki says like Reb Meir? He was only discussing the dar, and where was he discussing nedavos, right? So right, mashma hashted leishani bein neder and nedava. The lo yashmiin and kra the toy mikula noidev mishalim. So you should have said, you know what the best thing is? No, do you want to tell me the best thing to do? Say nedava, but you didn't say that. So it must be what? There's no chilik between neder and nedava. Okay, that's Reb Meir. So Reb Meir can't be the Tana. Guys, what do we want? We want to show someone who says neder no good, nedava yes good. According to Reb Meir, nothing's good. That's why Reb Meir is not the Tana. Next, so Yehuda Toiv Mizel Mizel Noid Mishalim. So he can't be the Tana of the Mishnah because according to him, Nidrei Rishayim should work, right? Nidrei Rishayim Tzadikim. Nidrei Tzadikim should work. V'darish l'krahachi Eisa Shetida Shalim V'zuhi Mida Mishubeches Aval Toiv Shleisida Mishetida Le'Shalim. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so now. So what do we have? Reb Meir can't be the Tana Mishnah because he doesn't make a difference between neder and nedava. Both are not good. Reb Yehuda goes the opposite way. Both are good. So who's the Tana of the Mishnah? Says the Gemara. I feel the says the Gemara back inside. I feel the Reb Meir. I mean, basically says Reb Meir. Ki kamer Reb Meir b'neder, right? When he said by neder b'nedava like kamer. That's the obvious answer. Since he was only speaking about nedarim, he wasn't speaking about nedavos. We're good. Read the Gemara v'katani can advise some neder b'nasu b'karbon. So you see that what the Dvaisam is in neder. No, Tani Nadav bin Nasu will be carbon. Good. So that just tweak it a little bit, right? You tweak it a little bit. Go ahead and take the reish and make it into a vase. Right? Take the reish, make it into a vase. It's not a problem. Now, Maishna Noida Deloi Dilma Asi Bolide Takala. What's the reason why you should make a neder? Maybe you'll come to a takala. The Davan Namiloi Dilma Asi Be Takala. In other words, you're going to go ahead and you're going to go ahead. You're going to make a neder. Maybe you won't keep it. Then the dove also you got a problem. It says the Gemara, no, in the dove you won't kill Lazakin. We'll do like kill Lazakin. The Tanya Amral Lazakin Shleimal Adam be'oile Asa Kol Yamav. No one was ever moil in his carbon oil, right? Why would he? In other words, if you designate a carbon, guys, in your house, you got a big problem. But from the time you transport it all the way to the base of the Migdash, if in any shape or form you get use from it, right, you're going to be Moel Behegdish. So what would he do? So therefore, he's saying, Fredrik Marakasha, why are you thinking that you're not going to keep? In the dove, you got a problem too. Guys, you're going to go ahead in the dove. What are you going to do? You're going to designate the carbon and shine it's the carbon. There's manazeh, right? You have a Bechar. You have a Bechar manazeh. If you're a farmer, you have kahak the tzaris. So they always have, the farmers always have a firstborn, they always have a shut for the guy. Those have your mashata for the guy, because you got a problem. It's the same thing over here. You can go ahead, you can make this carbon, you can bring it home. What's going to happen? So he'll do the following. What would he do? He would go ahead, he'd bring the animal before you were magdashit, lazara, umakdisha. And he would magdash in the azara, the samech alaha, he'd do smicha, v'sheichta. And they would shech it right away. So therefore, if you do in a dove in that way, there's no takala. That's good. As we said, two cases in the Mishnah that work. The dava was Nazir, the dava of carbon, the dava of Naziris. What about the dava of Naziris? Michael Neymar. So Sabalak is Shimon Tzaddik. He holds like what? Like Shimon Tzaddik. Tanya, very famous case. I'm a Shimon Tzaddik. Okay, guys, outside, a little bit of Naziris, right? Yeah, that maybe Chul again, Lav Dafka Chul Nazar, right? Okay. Anyway, so listen to this. A person Stam Nazir is Shleishim Yoim. Stam Nazir is Shleishim Yoim, and after 30 days of rough, he brings three animals. He brings a Chatras and Oilan and Shlama. If during the Maze Naziris of his 30 days, he's Metame Tumis Mace, it overrides his Naziris, stops the Naziris, and he has to bring an Oila, an Asham, a Chatras. Like, I'm not sure. I think so. I know. I'm for sure he has to bring an Asham. And he has it overrides everything, and he has to go ahead and starts again, right? It starts again. So now you think about it. You're a Nazir. You're a Nazir. Sometimes maybe you l'shem Shemayim when you began, but now showing I kept 28 days. All of a sudden showing I'm telling Mace another month of this. Maybe you might regret the whole thing. Right? So Shimon HaTzadik was the Kohen Gadol. And the Kohen ate the Asham of a Nazir, Asham Naziris, he ate it. Shimon HaTzadik did not eat the Asham, because he was always worried that the person was not Mechaven Shem Shemayim. And therefore, not that Chas v'Shalom was schulin, but maybe the person regretted it. Maybe there was a shmek that it wouldn't be good. So this is the story that takes place.
This is a great Masa Hassan. Like I said, when you do a mitzvah, after you have any kalaf, you do the whole mitzvah.
Gotta be careful. Anyway, so now he held like Shimon HaTzadik. The dog was like Shimon HaTzadik. The Tanya, Amar Shimon HaTzadik, miyomai lo yachalti Asham nazir tamei. In all my days, I never ate. I never ate a nazir tamei Asham. Ela echad, only one time. Pamachas bo adam echad nazir min Nedarim, came up a nazir from the south. When I saw him, shu yafa einayim, he had beautiful eyes. The Toiv Roy, he was very handsome. And his curls, Suduris loy taltalim. They were mamish beautifully. Amati loy bini. Ma royis lahashchis zarecha, right? Zehana. So this beautiful hana, this beautiful hair. So Amali roya hayisi laaba biyari. I was in the boondocks, in the outside in the yar of my father's. And I went to go ahead and fill water from the well. I looked at my reflection. Shali, I looked at myself. He looked at such a good guy, and he thought, who knows thoughts? Be good with the women, right? And then he had these thoughts. And Yetzirah was getting me. It was going to put me out of this world. So first of all, guys, it's fascinating that what you see, people didn't look at themselves. The guy didn't know what he looked like. He didn't look like. They didn't have mirrors. He saw his reflection in the water. They have mirrors. This week's parsha says, "Hine no yadati ki shifas maraat." Right. So Rashi brings three pshatim. The first one, he says that he didn't recognize that Sarah we saw in Megillah, foremost woman, beautiful woman in the history of the world. And then he saw Alidei Maisa. That's all it says, Rashi. What was the Maisa? They were going down to Mitzrayim, they passed over water. Avram Avinu saw her reflection in the water. You'll say Avram looked at it directly. So Maral is masba beautifully. He says, Avram Avinu, when he looked at Sarah, what did he saw? He saw the Eim Sheb Yisrael. He wasn't looking at a beautiful woman. He saw the woman who she was the mother of Klal Yisrael. She was her mommy. He saw her qualities. That's when he looked at it directly. A physical object can only reflect the physical. So when he went ahead and saw the buah in the water, he saw what? He saw her and what she really was. He may know Yadati. Now I know. He didn't know beforehand. The beautiful Hezbollah, what? The Maral in the Guraria explains Rashi in the Guraria. It's unbelievable. The physical thing can only affect the physical. So this person, I tell you, it's a Maisa. You think they're so crazy. But Yosef Chaim Zonefeld was the Rabbi of Yerushalayim before the Medina, right? Someone saw, we have pictures of him. Someone showed him a picture of himself and he said, Cooked oyster in El Chayid. He didn't know what he looked like. He watched didn't know what he looked like. He looked at himself. He didn't know what he looked like. So this guy didn't know what he looked like. Mamish, the guy didn't know. He sees himself in the morning. He says, Rabbi Shalom. So what does he do? Yeah. One second, we'll get you on the film. So
Going said he has a suffix. Was she really beautiful, Sarah, or just like a chut shel chesed? So if it's chesed, it's a chesed for him. But if she's real beauty, now going down to Mitzrayim and going on the road, like usually going on the road weekends, you don't look as good, and they're going into Mitzrayim, which is in the Zion, and she still look good. So no, you're that. Now I know that you're really beautiful.
they're not chesed. Okay, for posterity, we have the boy. Okay, here we go. Now, so now you want to get me out of this world. So what happened? Right, Amati like Russia. Lama atem is Gaia. He goes talking to the Mamish guy. Says I'm struggling. Russia. Lama atem is Gaia. But oilam sheina shalcha. The mi shehu asaliyos rima v'toilas. Right, Mamish says, well, yeah, I'm going to end up being what the worms are going to get me. Ha'avoida lashon of shvua she'agalcha l'shamayim. I'll go ahead and I'll be megalef l'shamayim. Miyada madati, said Rabbi Shimon. I stood up in a shakti v'rosha. I kissed him on his head. Amati loy b'ni kamoicha yirbu noiser nesius b'Yisrael. Like you should be marbe the people who make nesius b'Yisrael. And Allah akas avoymer. Okay, so now, why do we bring this in? How do we get into this Maisa? We said, where's the Nedav and Naziris? That a tzaddik would make a Nedav and Naziris, right? So this is an example of a tzaddik making a Nedav. A person like this, that's how we got into the story. So I have a piece from Rabbi Fran that I had put in my Gemara. Baruch Hashem, I did. Listen to this unbelievable hergish, guys. But what caused this guy to look at himself and say, I can't believe this? This is beautiful hair. He was beautiful, right? Here he said, he goes, what am I going to do? I'm going to take this hair and I'm going to go ahead and give it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you have something that you miskal on, if anything, you should be a nazir and grow your hair longer. You should go to the barber shop and get a crew cut, right? Get a baldy, but a zero, whatever. That would be the thing to do. Guys, if the hair is what's causing you to be right to feel this way, go to the barber and take it off. What did he do? He did the opposite. He grew it longer. Right? It's says this is Gavaldik shot from the Stipler. Gavaldik shot from the Stipler. This is what he says. He says in every Aveira or every life in general, there's a siman and there's a siba. There's a cause and an effect. So a person has pimples that are on his face. Could be that he has a virus inside of him. So you could do one of two things. You could take Clearasil and put it on, or you can go ahead and take a drug and it'll make it better. The drug deals with the siba, the cause. The Clearasil deals with the siman, what you see. So if he's misgaya, is it the hair or is it his gaiva? My beautiful hair. It's not this. The hair is a siman. The hair is not a siba. The hair is a siman. The cause of this is his gaiva. What is the gaiva here? It's me, my beauty, my hair, not the Rabbi Shalom, right? So if he would have cut off his hair, what would he have done? He would have just dealt with the siman. He would have just put the Clearasil on his face, but he wouldn't accomplish anything. So what did he do? He went ahead and he dealt with the siba. He dealt with the cause. Me, it's not me. It's you, the Rabbi Shalom. That hair, what I'm going to do with that hair? I'm going to come in Nazir, and then after Shleich Yom, I'm going to cut it off and put it out underneath the pot of the shlomim when they're cooking the Zoya B'Shela, as we'll see when we learn the second one, the Zeris. That's what he did. He dealt with the siba, not the siman. It's a Gavaldik Pshat. It's a Gavaldik Pshat, and to understand why he did what he did and answer things up. What? What do you mean? He called him B'ni? They called him my son?
A lot of love. They spent it there.
Get a couple thousand years.
Yeah, what happened?
They're happy. They're happy when I call them guys instead of girls. they're happy. They're happy when I call them girls. I told the girls in school that I called my guys. They started laughing. I said, that's not funny.
30 years.
Okay, Maskal Rav Money. Maishna Asham Nazir Tamei Dleiachol, right? The Asi Al Chet. Kol Hashem is Nami Leichol. the al chet asi. In other words, why didn't he eat it? He said that maybe the person that he became tamei, and maybe what he'll regret it. Right? So it counts for a chet. Any asham. In other words, forget the asham nazir, guys. Any asham counts for a chet. So why dafka asham naziris? So Amalei Rav Yoina, hainu taima kashem toyin noizrin kashem metamoyin v'rabban aleim mein naziris nischarotem behem v'nimsu meivin chul nazara. In other words, the following: say a guy swore falsely, has to bring an asham gzelis. Let's say he was moyel behegdish, karen b'chaimish. So there's not tit for tat. You did this. The only time you're going to bring it, you were chayta. What did you do? You became a nurse in the first place. Ken zayin, you chayta. Right? You did something wrong. You bring a chatas. When we're going to see the Gemara in the series, why do you bring a chatas? After all, the Torah asks nothing on you. Why are you asking more on you? And what do? You go ahead. You become okay. Good. You did it. And Taya, you expressed the zeros. And now you're being marbin the zeros. Maybe you had charata. If you have charata, now I don't think it means over here mamish that's school by Zara, but kilu that it's not. Look at Rashi over here. So look, I mean the Ran. Maybe chum lazara lav dafka. This is what you want to sing. Shekol zaman shaloy yetiran chacham nisrusa kayemes. As long as the chacham didn't take it over, your charata doesn't mean anything. If the chacham doesn't take it off, right? The korban aseh chayva aleihem el kein chum kamar. It's like chulin. Why? Shemitoy shein kavanosim mitzuya af korban asehim eina ritzuyim. Guys, the idea of a korban is, guys, the lashon we use in kachim is merutza. It should be accepted. If you don't have the right kavanah, good, you can bring in hypis morgan. It's not going to be accepted. So if you have charata that you don't want to do naziris, it's not chulin bazara, but it's not good to korban. So it's not really good korban. Therefore, he refrained from it. Vashen came by an asham where that doesn't exist. Therefore, he would go ahead and he'd eat it. Yehachi afilu nazir tahar nami, right? Even in nazir tahar, he l'chayra, but he brings a chatas. And nazir tahar he shouldn't eat because why? Maybe eskarata, on his naziris. I feel says Gemara nazir tahar loy the amudi amid nafshe the yachalinda. He's able to go ahead and figure out that I can take so much. Hashenkin extends beyond 30 days. It goes, okay, next teretz goes on, we'll stop over there.
I said, that curl, the guy, he had a curl on his face, no?